All right, so let me take this off of here then. I guess it was class 2, I think, when we first looked at a model, a way of understanding when someone's walking down the street. Do you guys remember that? Yeah. So this is kind of bringing that back a little bit, but we're looking deeper at it. And before, we were just looking at feelings and thoughts. And I think I heard over here, was it Christine and you guys saying that I didn't know how to differentiate between the two. I mean, this is going to be really good for people to understand this. In all of your scenarios, there's a context, and all of our lives have a context. So I'm going to use you as an example, Cass, because you gave a great example last week, which was thoughts and emotions coming up in relation to the meditation because you just rowed with your husband. So the context that was over her when she sat down in her chair to meditate in this room was those feelings, lots of thoughts, lots of body sensations. And so the attitude that seemed to arise out of that, or a lot of the thoughts that arose out of that was, I'm not getting this meditation thing. You know, this isn't working. I wish I were better at this. I should have gotten it by now. And we believe that. We believe everything that the mind is throwing up, despite the context being very, very important. So just imagine that context of someone walking down the road again that we had, who you wave to and they don't wave back. If you've just gotten a promotion at work and you're feeling really good in your life, things are going well for you, and someone doesn't wave, okay, maybe there's a few seconds where you're like, wait a minute, did that person see me? And then it slides right off. But if you've lost your job and things aren't going for you, or you've been dealing with depression or anxiety in that moment, then there's a different set of thoughts that come up in that moment. And the thoughts that come up are, people don't like me. I'm not a likable person. I know that I've never been such and such. And the question that I want to ask you then is, which thoughts are true? Which thoughts are real? And you can answer that if you have the answer.
Well, they're just your thoughts.
But which ones are right?
There isn't a right or a wrong, is there? It's your reality at the time, sure.
It's
what you do with those thoughts. But we create our own reality, is what follows from there.
So if this thought comes up, no one pays me any attention. It's just a thought. But do we treat it as just a thought? No. What do we do?
It creates a feeling.
Okay, yeah.
So the thought, no one pays you attention, it creates a feeling, and then usually, as what used to happen to me, it would then create a fact of, that's more evidence, well, I'm not good at that. You know, it becomes almost like a kind of evidence against myself, a strange conspiracy. So it's no one pays me attention, and it goes into a fact. It's actually very hard, I find, like, maybe perhaps between time I get wiser, but it's very difficult to say, actually, this is a thought.
Yes.
I should be feeling that way.
It's excruciatingly hard to say this is a thought. Now, I'm sure you've heard of MBCT, which is, or CBT rather, cognitive behavioral therapy. In cognitive behavioral therapy, you look at your thoughts and you try to work with them. Is this true? You kind of say, you try to almost in the midst of the moment talk yourself out of the terrible thoughts that are coming in. In MBCT, which is mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, there's a slightly different approach to this, and we'll get a little bit into this. So this isn't CBT, just so that you know that. I'm not asking you to get in the ring with your thoughts and see who's stronger. I can overpower this thought that says, no one pays me any attention. But what I want to draw attention to is more this, and this is kind of alluding to what Christine and Ali was saying, was saying, oh, I'm not sure this distinction here. When you've met a situation that's really got you, okay, this is happening at such a fast rate. You're having a thought, and then all of a sudden there's a feeling, and then that leads to another thought, and the stomach is tightening, and the tightening of the stomach creates another feeling, and then that feeling leads to another thought about a memory that happened years ago, and we pull in the past into it, and round and round and round we go. This round and round and round, there's a great word for it in the Buddhist text, but I'll use the English word is proliferation, but the Buddhist word is papancha, and I love that word, so I'll just say it because I think it's almost like onomatopoeic for what's happening. Papancha, 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 as the mind and the body are moving around. But
sounds like you're beating yourself up.
yeah. This is pure inner critic stuff.
Yeah.
You know, when your inner critic gets a hold of something and doesn't let go. I mean, I can even feel as I'm speaking to you now, talking about it, I can feel my own stomach tighten. But this is important here, this context that goes around it. It's the thing that we don't pay attention to, that depending on what the context is, I might have a different thought. You know, a different thought might arise altogether. And this idea that thoughts aren't facts. They come into the consciousness and we immediately say, oh yeah, this is true. This is absolutely true about me. To the extent that we're not conscious of that, we're going to suffer. We're going to suffer in this turning event. If I'm able to go, wow, that was a nasty thought. You know, the thought that just arose was, no one pays me any attention, and I see it. You know, in that moment, I see that thought right there. I have a lot more choice available to me. Also wanted to highlight these two bits here, is that there's always some trigger situation that comes in, and it becomes the source of our churning. But really, what is it reflecting? You know, in that situation that people had on their papers of someone who lost their job, it's a serious context. What are you carrying around with you every moment that you're with? You're carrying around the, I'm a loser. I'm a loser. So any situation that you're coming in contact with, that's what's with you. So when a trigger situation comes in, I think that this is just telling me that I'm a loser. But really it's just confirming a thought that is keeps bubbling up. And this one, which Christine mentioned before, this impulse to act. It can also be an impulse to fix. So something goes wrong. I need to do something about this. I can't just let myself feel this way. You know, or I'm feeling low. I need to make sure I get up and go do blah. I need to do this. I need to find this paper right now. That's that impulse to act, and it's really strong. It's like a wave behind you to act. So given all of this, given this kind of situation of all of this happening, and it looking like this, it seems to me really silly to try to analyze your thoughts, try to think differently. It seems to me fruitless. And before I tell you what I think you ought to do in this situation, I'll just put it out to you, having done this class this long. How do you think you should work wisely with your thoughts? How would you even manage that from a mindfulness perspective?
Well, you need to acknowledge the physical feelings that it gave, so you'd bring your thinking back to that.
Well, hey, yeah, that's great.
Wouldn't you?
That's exactly where you want to be going. Let me take this down so I can write that down. Yeah, why, Ali? Why do you think that would be the best place to begin?
Because that's what's happening. And you almost, because I hijack things by intellectualizing everything, and it stops me doing them. If I bring it back to what's happening physically, it gives me a starting point.
And that feels more real, doesn't it, as well? It's physically happening, you know, my hands warm, simplifies it.
But it's almost like a pause. In a way.
And I like what you've just said there too, on why it feels more real, because this isn't real. You know, when I'm there, think of this, we all have or have had mothers, if you have a thought about your mother, is it your mother? No, it's a thought about your mother. Your mother may not be in the room at that point, right there, but we can almost conjure the people in our lives and conjure these scenarios. And really, where are you in that moment? You might be on a bus, you might be anywhere, but you're here in the tangle. So coming back to what's real and simplifying. I like that, Christine. I'm going to put that up there. So, yeah, simplify is a great word. And to simplify, I have to go to the physical. I have to go to something that is real, because I don't know. My thoughts are telling me that I'm crap, that I'm angry, that I'm this, that I'm that. The content is... So if I can come back to just my hands, go, wow, even my hands are tense, or they're shaking, or they're reacting in some way.